All right, so here's part 2 to the video that you just got done watching. Right now we're in the middle of graphing x equals 2. So we're graphing x equals 2 right now, okay? So I have 2 for my x value in all cases, and then I just have random y values that I've chosen, right? And for argument's sake, I just choose the same values as I've been doing. So first let's plot 2, -1. So 2, -1, 2, 0, and 2, 1. Connect the 3 dots that we just created, that we just drew, and you get a straight line. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight this to show you that when you get x equals something, you don't get a horizontal line. Instead, you get a vertical line. And that happens when you have x equals some number, right? You'll get a vertical line right where x equals 2. So notice on this line, no matter where I'm plugged in, no matter where my solutions are, all of them, x is equal to 2, right? This is every possible answer. You can come all the way up over here, right? X is still going to be equal to 2, no matter how big y gets or no matter how small y gets, right? Okay. Now I want you to go ahead and do these problems right here in your book. So I'll go ahead and hide the work so far and show you that I want you to do number 45 or page 45, numbers 1 through 4 all. Go ahead and pause the video and then come back here when you're ready. All right, I've given you plenty of time. Let's go ahead and dive into the answers here. So first we're looking at number 1. So number 1 is y equals 3x. So let's go ahead and solve this. So in all cases, I'm going to have a table where I plug in -1, 0, and 1 for x. Once again, these are just numbers that I pick. I think they're the easiest numbers to use. Sometimes they're not the easiest numbers to use, which we'll find out later, okay? So first off, let's go ahead and plug in -1. 3 times -1 equals -3, so I get -3 is my answer here. Plug in 0, so 3 times 0 equals 0, 0, 0. Plug in 1, 3 times 1 makes 3, 3. And let's go ahead and graph those. -1, -3, -1, -3, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 3, 1, 3. Okay, make sure your spacing is all good. Make sure that when you put down your ruler that you're graphing it correctly. That creates a straight line, and then you should be done with that one. Okay, that one's pretty straightforward. Let's go and move on to number 2. So now when we're looking at number 2, this time we've got kind of a fraction going on. So I have to think to myself, if I plugged in -1 right here, I would still have a fraction in my answer. So since I'm allowed to just pick whatever numbers I want for x, I'm going to not pick -1. I'm going to pick different numbers to plug in for x values. So I always kind of want to try my best to always have a negative number and a positive number, my answers, just to make sure I'm doing it right. It's just easier for the check here. So let's go ahead and plug in -2 first. Let's go over why I chose -2 and 2 as my replacements. Because if I multiply 1/2 times an even number, 2 for example, I'm going to get a whole number for an answer. Let me show you what I mean. Or an integer, I should say. Basically, I'm not going to have a decimal or a fraction. So -1/2 times -2, negative times a negative makes a positive. So this is going to be positive. 1/2 times 2 gives me 1. So now I've got 1 plus 2. See how the fraction went away? So now I've got 3. So -2, 3. So we have to kind of do a little bit of predicting when we're picking our x values. We want to use x values that will help us get easy answers, right? It's okay for you to use -1 and end up getting a fraction as an answer. Fractions are just not fun to try and graph. It is possible though. You'll still get the same shape. You'll still get the same graph. It'll work out. It'll just be a little bit more difficult to graph. Okay, and I go down the line and I solve each of these. So I get -1/2 times 2 makes -1. So -1 plus 2 makes 1. Okay, so I get 3, 2, 1. All right, let's go ahead and graph those. -2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then I've got 0, 2, 0, 2. And then I've got 2, 1, 2, 1. Okay. Connect those. And this will be the tell sign to tell you if you graphed it correctly, are you getting a line out of this, a straight line? And I am. So this is correct. Okay, let's move on to number 3. So for number 3, we have to kind of remember what the graph should look like. So the graph should look like, if we're looking back at our notes, let's look back at our notes and see what it says. It says that when x, we have a number where it's x equals something, we get a vertical graph. So I need to come up with a vertical graph. So it's going to be straight up and down at x equals -4. Well, if I'm checking this, this is -1, -2, -3, -4. That's where I'm going to want my graph to go. So notice I don't need a table for these ones. If I already know it's going to be a vertical line, I just need to create a vertical line that passes through x equals -4, which I didn't do a very good job there, but that's okay. So that's the answer for that one. Notice that this is a vertical line. Okay, you don't have to write this in your answer, but it's helpful for your notes. Okay, and then the next one is the opposite. This one was a horizontal line, so it's going to be a line that's going from left to right. So let's go ahead and label our y values to see where this should land. Well, this is going to land between -1 and -2. That's where -1.5 lives, right? Notice that we're on the y-axis. This is the y value that we're checking right now, because y equals. Okay, put down your ruler and draw a straight horizontal line that passes through y equals -1.5. And that should be your answer for number 4. Okay, this is everything for 2.1.